Hey guys, this is Lilacspectrum here, and I'm actually at my mom's house, so of course that's why I'm in this room and in this setting. But anyway, I'm going to do a book review today. My mom, Pure by Terra Elan McVoy. If I say that wrong, I am so sorry. But this is the cover of it. I did not buy this book. I got it from my library. There's my due date stamp, but they actually don't put it on the due date stamp anymore. But anyway, this book on the back, since it's on the back, I'm not even going to try to look it up on Amazon or anything like that. This book on the back says it's $16.99 in the US and $18.99 in Canada. So there's your prices. I don't know, since this is hardback, this is obviously probably why it's more. And how much it would be if it's paperback, I don't know. I'm not even going to try to look it up, because here's the prices right on this one, and I don't feel like looking it up right now. So, you can just go to Amazon.com, type in this name of this book called Pure by Terra Elan McVoy, and then you can find out that way. That's how I usually do it. So, I usually talk about different things throughout the review, and of course I'm going to keep to that no matter where I'm at. First I talk about the cover. This book, actually, there's a funny story about this book. It's been on my to-reads list for the longest time. I go to 3 or 4 different libraries. I only go to 2 exclusively. I'm signed up for like 3 libraries, but I only go to 2. Since the third one is like a state library, and I don't live that close to that library, so there's no point in me even trying to go there. Now I can have it shipped to me, but anyway, that's a long story. I'll have to get into it in another video. I saw this book in that library, and was very curious to read it, and could not remember the name of it. I don't know why I couldn't remember Pure. I don't know. And it just looked like a very interesting tale and a read, and like I said, I couldn't find it in that one, and then I happened to, I think I found out, or I was putting stuff on my to-read shelf, which I always do a lot, and which is why my to-read shelf is always so full, and I came across this book in my, like, recommended for you things, and I found out, oh, that's the book I was trying to find. So that was great. And also, quick tidbit about Goodreads is they do give you recommendations based on the books you read. So if you give this 5 stars, it's going to give you books based on this. So just in case you're not a part of the Goodreads crowd and you're not addicted to it yet, but you love books, that's another reason why you should join Goodreads. They also do this new thing called Goodreads Deals or something like that, where they find good price books for you or something. I'm not sure. I haven't really looked into it. I don't have a lot of money to buy books anyway, so I don't really look into that kind of stuff because I just do not have money. So the cover is very kind of plain and simple. There's this girl, she's got a cherry, she's holding it, and you can see she's wearing a ring, and it's pink, and on the back, actually, I mean, it's a quite cute cover, in my opinion, for a book of this nature. And on the back, there is a ring. I'm guessing that's supposed to be her purity ring. So, of course, you're thinking this book is called Pure, so it's going to be about maybe abstinence or whatever. So, and that's exactly what it's about. It's about abstinence. I'm just going to kind of quickly, briefly age it for you. And the inside of the flap is that ages 14 and up. So I'm guessing if you're 13 or younger, you shouldn't read this book. But honestly, I think everybody should read this book that can understand sex. So, my opinion. Promise, betrayal, confession, revenge. So this girl and her friends have purity rings. I'm just kind of going over the little flap cover just so you guys will know. And they're basically Christians, and they say, you know what, we're going to promise ourselves that we're going to stay virgins into our marriage, and they made this promise years ago, blah, blah, blah. So the main character meets this guy, and she falls in love with him, basically, and then they kind of go to high school, and they kind of figure out, well, maybe these purity rings aren't exactly what we thought they were at the beginning, and they start kind of questioning themselves. And there's a lot of stuff about this book I want to make comments on, but first I'm going to tell you, I did not finish this book. I got to a part in this book, which I'm going to explain to you in a minute, and it didn't tick me off, but it kind of like made me go, ugh. You know, have you ever read anything, not even just a book, even if it's just an article, and it just kind of, I don't know, something about reading that part just makes you say, okay, I'm done. I'm tired of reading this. This is ridiculous. And so that's what happened. It wasn't so much her writing, because she wrote really well. This is actually the author right here. She has a picture in there, and it wasn't her writing. She wrote very well, and the characters were very interesting, and there was a bunch of different characters in my opinion. But I just felt like, and it's hard to explain without just telling you right out what happens, which I will do in a minute. And so basically they have purity rings, and this girl starts kind of liking this guy, and she says, okay, well, I like this guy, and I kind of want to try it out with him. And they kiss, and she starts to kind of want to date him, and they start dating, and this and that and the other, and she goes on with her high school stuff, and blah, 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 blah. So that's really the story as it's summed up without telling you the ending and all that stuff. Now, I got just about halfway through when one of the friends of the group loses her virginity. And I can't remember if the girl took her ring off or not. I don't really know. I don't even really remember the whole book, because like I said, by that time, once I figured that out and I saw the reactions, I just kind of put it down. I am Christian. I believe, and I was raised growing up, that I should wait to have sex before marriage. I was raised that way. It's just how I was raised, and I'm not going to say I had a problem with this book at all, because I didn't. Because I agreed with some of the girls, and I knew where they were coming from, because that's how I was raised. But when it comes to my body, that's what I believe. Now, if Jody down the block says, I believe that, and she messes up, if she has sex before she's married, I'm not going to shun her for the rest of her life. You know, I don't see a point in trying to shun somebody just because they make a mistake, because you're human. It happens, you know, and I don't believe in not being friends with somebody because they're not your faith. I don't believe in not being friends with somebody because they're gay. I don't believe in not being friends with somebody because different stuff like that. That's your life. As long as you're not pressuring me to do it, I don't care what you do. Unless you're hurting yourself and I'm fearing for your well-being. Because if I'm your friend like that, I probably will speak up about that. Like if you're like self-harming or you're having depressive thoughts and suicidal thoughts, that's when I start to care. But when it comes to who you're sleeping with, when you start sleeping with them, and you know what faith you believe in and all that stuff, I don't care. It's not my business. That's your life, you know. One of the friends in this book has sex for the first time, and another friend just basically goes, I'm not being her friend anymore, and y'all shouldn't either. If y'all are her friends, y'all are crazy. And it just made me so mad, because in today's society, and I don't know when this book was written, because I didn't look all that stuff up before. Usually I kind of try to have all this stuff written down, so I'll know. This book was written in 2009, so it's not even really that old. It's like 7 years old. So sex in young adults and young teenagers is a thing now, and you don't, and I'm not saying she did a bad job writing this or anything, but even knowing what I know, and being raised the way I was raised, my mom made it so clear that if I ever had problems with anything sexually wise, or if I ever had questions, or if I was confused or just wanted to know, that I could come to her and ask her questions, and she was okay with it. Now, albeit my mother was a nurse, is a nurse. She is a nurse, not was. She is a nurse. And so, of course, nurses are going to be a little bit more open, or anybody in the health field, I feel like they've seen it all. So they can kind of like say, oh yeah, it doesn't bother me. My mom never had a problem with that. And I think that's how everybody should be raised nowadays, but it's not always, because not everybody's like that. And I think there's such a stigma on sex and teens and young adults and that stuff nowadays that it shouldn't be that way. I think everybody should know what sex is and how to protect yourself and taking precautions. And people should know that just staying abstinent is not the only way to practice safe sex. I'm not saying I'm going out there tomorrow and screwing the first guy I can find, because that's not it. But I do believe that sexual ed programs are really good to fund in schools, because that's how we find out. I was probably in the 5th grade, I think it was the 5th grade, when I was beginning to learn about sexual education. Now, like I said, I had a nurse mom, and I started my period at like 10 years old, so it wasn't like I didn't already know about sex, because when you start your period, you know, of course your mom and your dad, or especially your mom, usually it's your mom, unless you just don't have a mom, will sit you down and tell you, okay, this is what a period is, this is why you're having it, da 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 da. So, of course, I already knew the most. I mean, I knew some stuff about sex ed when I first started sex ed, but I didn't know all the things. I just knew about, like, what my body's going through and all that. So, this book just basically talks about chastity, saying, you know, abstinent and blah 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 blah, and rings, and I always kind of wanted a period ring because I think that's normally they're really pretty, and I just like the idea of that, but you know, everybody doesn't think that's for them. So this book was about that. Like I said, whenever that scene happened about them not being friends with the girl, and the main character ends up saying, well, I think we should still be her friend because she's still our friend. She's still the same girl. She just has had sex, you know. And the other girls are like, no, we're going to argue with you now. And I'm just like, this is childish. This is, and not the writer, and not the writing technique, and not the story, but just the fact of me reading this makes me want to blow my brains out. Because this is, I mean, I'm not saying this book, but that is not, to anybody who out there read it or is going to read it or whatever, that is not the way to treat a friend who's had sex. Even if you guys are Christians or whatever you are that says we need to be abstinent, that's just not how you treat people. And like I said, it goes to even the stuff about sexual orientation and transgender and all that stuff. You don't treat people like this because that makes them not want to listen to you. So, like I said, that was just more of a rant than a review. But some good things about the book, like I said, it was pretty good writing. I felt like I could enjoy the character. You know, she was kind of similar to how I was back in high school and middle school. When I first joined elementary school, my elementary school years started off in a Christian school, which I loved, and then I ended up going to a public elementary school when I was in the 4th grade. I finished 3rd grade at my private school, and then I went to public school from 4th to high school, and then so on and so forth. And I really did love my Christian school, and going to a new school like a public school was definitely a big jump. It wasn't as bad. Once I started going to middle school, it got worse because people were starting to curse, and they were talking about having sex with everybody and this and that and the other, and it was a side of society I hadn't seen at the time, and it was kind of scary. So this book was similar. I would probably say I was more like the main character as I started growing up, learning about sexual stuff, and I don't know. When I was in middle school, I just felt more innocent. You know, I felt like I was an innocent kid, and then, you know, I knew about sex, I knew about periods, I knew about all that stuff, but then hearing other 7th and 8th graders talk about it like they talked about it, and it was like, whoa, wait a minute, you may know about it, but that doesn't mean you should do it. I don't know, that was just how I grew up, so, not gonna say you shouldn't have sex, because that's your body, but, yeah. It was a very interesting read, and maybe in the future, when I calm down a little bit more about that book, maybe I can finish it, but at this point, and plus it's almost due back, so that's part of it, that I just kind of gave up on it, because I just felt like I already knew the story, and I'm pretty sure the girl probably either sleeps with the guy or doesn't, or whatever, and I don't know what the end is, because I didn't finish it, but at this point, I don't want to finish it, because I just feel like it's not the writing, it's not the story, it's just me right now, and I just cannot right now. Maybe later in the future I can sit down and say, okay, this is what this means, and this is how I feel about it. I did really enjoy I got like halfway through the book before all that stuff happened, and I don't know, I think people would read that book and not judge her, but judge the characters. Because everyone's like, well, that's why Christians are so bad, because they do this. And not all Christians do that, you know. I don't, like I said, I'm Christian. And if you have sex with somebody, that's your business. Now, I'm going to sit you down and I'm going to be like, hey, do you know what having sex is? Do you know what this is? Do you know what that is? You know, and like I said, these kids, in my opinion, nowadays, can't even tell you what a condom is. If you can't tell me what a condom is or how often you should be taking your birth control, you shouldn't be having sex. That's just my opinion. But anyway, I know this is a very odd rant to talk about, but it brought some ideas out of me that I just had to go ahead and put out there. So, thank you guys for watching. I hope to see you in the next video, because the next video is going to be... Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!